Hello, this is DK. Welcome to the Wheel Print Podcast, brought to you by APM Medical Supplies. This podcast is created to uncover the inside game of adaptive athletes, their untold stories of what drives them and makes them tick. So be prepared to be inspired as we discover the trials and triumphs of the human spirit. Enjoy this show. Hey everyone, and good day. I am DK, and I'm the host of the Wheel Print Podcast. Today's guest is Lisa Hilborn. I've known Lisa from her first days. She entered the adaptive sports world in 1990. Lisa has blazed a trail of impact in her career, which I would only describe as legendary. With positions at Rancho, Lakeshore Paralympic and Olympic Training Center, and now Casa Colina Hospital and Healthcare Services. Monumental positions. So what you will hear is during her rise in service and passion for others, that she operated with a no limits mentality. Behind the pretty smile is a heart of a lioness. On the sidelines came a fire that I could relate to and always respect. So Lisa Hilborn, welcome to the Wheel Print Podcast, my dear.
Well, thank you very much. I am humbled, DK. To hear that from you just gives me shivers. You're somebody I have long emulated to be any little bit like, and so to be here talking with you is tremendous. I have watched you over the years, and we've run into each other quite literally a couple times on the football and hockey courts, which has been the moments that I have treasured throughout life. So thank you for mentoring, quite honestly.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. But this is about you, so we're going to redirect, and I'm just really privileged and honored to have you on as a guest. And literally knowing you and your path, this could be a two-part episode, but we're going to stick to the highlights, and we're going to jump straight to your time at Rancho Los Amigos Hospital. For those that need to know, is a rehabilitation center in Downey, California. It's pretty much now been branded simply Rancho. And you were the director of wheelchair sports. But everybody should know how that came to be. You know, what part of your path led you to Rancho?
That's kind of a funny question. Grew up in a really small town in California known as Bishop, and wanted to play ball. Loved playing ball. Went to college to play ball. Didn't really think about the fact that you go to learn and think. And while I was playing ball at Cal State San Bernardino, I realized I could think too. I earned a graduate teaching internship at Cal State Long Beach. Part of that teaching internship was to develop a sports program at a hospital in Downey I knew very little bit about. I was into the teaching path. I felt like at that point I was on the fast track to my PhD. That's what I wanted to do. I love to lecture. And I stopped dead in my tracks after about a year. And it's funny when you wake up one day and you're pedaling so hard and you're like, wait, I'm exactly where I want to be. I love these men that I am working with. I love the opportunity and the grace that we showed each other as we literally grew up together. And so I started with an athlete in 1990, and we played some tennis, and then it just kind of grew from there. We were a group of just diehard friends who got through life together, and the bumps and the challenges, and was that Las Floristas, a group of ladies that funded through an externally funded grant through USC, said you can do anything you want with this. And that was the gift of all, because education to me was the gift of all. I realized that I had opportunity through education. So these athletes, the only criteria they had to fulfill was to go back to school. And that could be a trade school, that could have been grade school, high school, an AA, just anything that fulfills your dream. And that served as a vehicle for so many people to success. So that was just a thrilling part of my life.
Well, I can so relate. As you and I have talked, I'm a Rancho alumni, and I my life was influenced and changed by Ed Owen, the Hall of Famer, probably the greatest teacher the sport has ever, wheelchair basketball has ever seen, in my opinion, and one of the world's greatest players. But he changed my life after spinal cord injury. And, I spent, back in the 70s, I was in the hospital 4 months. And that was a long time for this kid right out of high school. And boy, did I need his influence. But thinking of Ed and your predecessors in that role, Ed Owen was the first, and then Jeff Minnebreaker was the second. Now they're delivering recreation therapy, little bit different, but the same. But those are pretty big shoes to fill. Those two names just by themselves. So did you know of those predecessors or anything about them when you took the job?
Not enough. I had respect and deference, but as I went along, I went, whoa. Had I known those shoes were as big as they were, I might have been shaking in my boots every day when I came. But I wasn't, because who became my athletes were just as loving and had every desire to be successful and would do anything to make that happen. And so when you look at a group of guys and you say, hey, we're going to try something, I'm not sure it's going to work, but everybody's on the same page, you have a very, very strong opportunity to be successful. So they made it successful. My athletes at Rancho made Rancho successful. I gave them a path, period.
Well, sure. And I know you as the type that your experience, your confidence, they could feel that, and your love and passion, and they're pretty much going to lay down for you and do whatever it is you think is in their best interest. Sometimes they may buck the system a little bit, but you know how that goes with athletes. And so we're grateful that you've had such an impression and reintegration of youth and adults in underserved areas, using academics and athletic achievement to get back into the community and to set goals, and that's really an important impact that you've had.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That means much.
Well, and we're going to continue to use the word intersect, because this whole arrangement with you, me, your positions, where you're at now, where you've been, where there's so much connectivity. It kind of, as I put together the podcast, I was going, wow, man, how does this all happen? And 2010, you're given the Ed Owen Coach of the Year award. And anything with Ed Owen on it is a big deal, and given by the NWBA, or the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. And where we intersect is that in 2020, I received the award. So I'm in good company with you. But how did that award make you feel when you got it? Because it's prestigious.
Prestigious. I was floored. I was sitting at a table with my athletes. I you know how you just kind of go, did he just say my name? Floored. I don't even really still have words, because I don't feel worthy. I feel like I'm somebody who shows up every day and I try very hard, but I am not the smartest, the most talented, the most anything. I work hard, and Ed Owen was everything, right? And so to have that namesake, I'm not worthy. I know it. I appreciate it. I am humbled by it, but wow.
Yeah, man. Well, humble and hungry you are, and that's the sign of a great person and athlete, humble and hungry. Um, would would you describe, I mean, you've already pretty much told us that your time at Rancho, would you describe it as a love affair, or how would you describe that 2 decades of being the leader?
Yeah. Yes, I think that's a really, I hadn't looked at it that way, but it is a love of my life for sure. When you really think about it, I now have three professional loves of my life, and Casa's amazing, and I am absolutely falling in love. There's no question. Rancho was one of those places that it ramped up, right? I started, to restart this program, I started with one athlete, and many people saying, that's cool, you can do that. You know what I mean? A lot of people believed in it. But, you, again, it's about consistency. It's about, I'm showing up, I'm there for you. And then, in 3 months, we had two athletes. It truly was a labor of love. And sincerely, I had no thought of coaching wheelchair sports initially. I knew I wanted to teach in therapeutic kinese. I truly thought I was going to go teach the teacher. I'm a credentialed teacher. I love to teach. I love to light people on fire, but that's what coaching is. And it didn't click. So yeah, love affair. And I sat there one day and I was watching these guys. They're like a bunch of puppies. You know what I mean? They're just with each other. And I'm like, this is so much fun. And I'm like, why wouldn't you want to have fun for the rest of your life? And that's just true. I love this field. I love how I've been embraced and accepted. And there's space. You know what I mean? You turn around in so many fields, people are like not really wanting you in. This field, people are saying, come here, we need somebody to work with. And now I'm proud to say that I'm that person going, oh, you'd be good, come along, let's go. And trying to set the path and mentor for those coming along. It's the one of the most important goals I have in my career at this point.
Right on. I mean, that's so important. And I think across the board, when we look at, recreation therapists, therapeutic recreation specialists, adaptive sports, anyone who delivers, we feel blessed to be getting paid to play almost,
Right.
and that the work that you describe, that word, and not wanting to go to work, as many employees are in that boat. We find ourselves in dream-like positions, and you have, and we're going to talk about a couple more layers of this as we move forward now. But you've been involved in a very blessed history of employment.
Yes, I have.
So you're in 2011. It's a critical year for you because you change employment. Were you looking to leave Rancho, or tell us about that? You're shaking your head.
Yeah, no, great question. Las Floristas, the external donor to our sports program, lost massive amounts of funding and just couldn't keep it going. And so I lost my position. We lost the grant. And when you stand back and look at that, you're right. It was a pivotal moment. And I was offered the opportunity to, on a very small scale, coach only the youth team, but the second somebody turned 18 or 21 while they were still in high school, they were out of the program. And I couldn't wrap my mind around that. We wrote grants. We tried to do everything to save that program, but I I love the continuum, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I never want to look at somebody and say, "No, you don't belong anymore." I, I don't know how to process that and couldn't. And so, as you say, I have led a blessed life of opportunity, unbelievably, personally, professionally. But Lakeshore reached out. Peggy Turner called and said, "I know you won't leave California, but I want you to give consideration to this." And initially I thought, oh my goodness, I can't imagine. But we got on a plane and went to Birmingham, Alabama, and Alabama is gorgeous. The people are incredible. And Lakeshore Foundation is everything and 50 times more than anybody says it is. Um, it's like Casa, I'm starting to realize. You come to work every day and you go, we do that? Oh my gosh. After 10 years, I was still doing that at Lakeshore with research and, the UAB collaborative with Lakeshore and every other aspect of support at Lakeshore. It is an amazing place to have served, quite honestly, to have worked. I learned so much, and I am so grateful for the people who taught me, worked with me, helped me. We had I was the director of the military program, the training site. We ran massive events and athletics as well, and just it was the dream job. But quite honestly, it was really hard to be away from my family, and needed to come back home.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I understand that. With some of the transitions I also made. But getting that job and being recruited by Peggy Turner, mutual friend, that was one of the most high profile, prestigious jobs in the country. And I'm sure you felt that way when.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every minute. There's a tremendous amount of responsibility and opportunity. When you can say, hey, this is the way we want our athletics program to go. You know what I mean? That's awesome. And you're working with research to, say something more than anecdotally, sport matters. You know what I mean? When you can turn around and go, look at what is supported by the numbers, and this is why it matters, and all the different grantees looking at that and go, yeah, that's powerful because it changes the course of the movement. You know what I mean? Lakeshore is, I would say, probably the most important factor in that wave that we talk about that goes, Lakeshore starts the wave,
Right on.
It's impressive.
Yeah, well, and for us as athletes, especially USA athletes, to have the name Paralympic and Olympic Training Center, that's street cred. That's like, hey, we're first there, and when I came into your world there, on many occasions, either with national teams playing, coaching, and then with club junior teams, we ran into each other all the time, and that was always welcoming, that you put out to everyone. But I felt like you were paying me good attention.
Of course.
Oh well, but anyways, let's intersect again though with some of the crazy ways, twists of life. Frank Burns was the original director of the wheelchair sports program, and it's just uncanny to me that people, like-minded people, movers and shakers of these names that we've mentioned, You know, we are coming into each other's lives and worlds. And I just think it's kind of crazy. I don't know what your thoughts on it are. How do you explain that?
I don't think that there's any coincidence in life. I am a firm believer in God, and I think God knows the end from the beginning, and I think He has it planned. And that's nobody can convince me otherwise. I stand back and I go, that was not coincidence that happened right now. Um, I think our power to affect change with our character, our personality, our motivation, our enthusiasm is what it's about. And, whatever somebody uses to get themselves into a space that they can affect change, more power to them. So
Uh,
I don't think there's coincidence.
well, there came that day 10 years later that you took me aside and told me in the Lakeshore, venue, gym, that you were leaving Lakeshore, and automatically I got real selfish and was like, "No, man, no." And so you had 10 years at that position and leadership. Um, why don't you explain that, why you left?
Yeah. So, time waits for no one. My mother was at the time 76, and my spouse's mother was, now we know, 5 months till she passed. We moved out here, took care of her, she passed, and so we're very grateful to have been there for that last period of time. And I didn't want to lose the minutes with my mother, with any opportunity. And so when you look at the big picture on this, it's hard because we left two children in Birmingham, Alabama. So now we've got this California, Birmingham, Alabama connection. So we have family there as well. So there's no question we travel back and forth a whole lot and love every minute of it. So it's, it's what you make of it. And I'm not saying I'll always be in California, but I am saying this is absolutely the right place. I am falling in love with Casa. Casa is full circle. You and I've talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, well, you don't stand a chance to not fall in love with Casa Colina, man. That's just the way it goes down, and what a great opportunity, and for all people associated. I mean, they're lucky to have you. You're lucky to have them. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about a company that's important to me and my wheel print. APM Medical has chosen to sponsor the Wheel Print podcast and my DK3 events. This is who they are. They give back to our adaptive sports world. I encourage you to look at APM to provide you with your personal care supplies. It just makes sense to support those who support us. Email APM at info@apm-med.com. Mention the Wheel Print podcast to receive your next order, how you want it, and when you want it. APM Medical is a small company with a big heart. Now let's get back to our conversation with our guest. But let's dive into Casa, because it is your here and now, and intersecting maybe three other aspects of things. Frank Burns, the original director of Casa, then Frank leaves, turns it over to me. And now you are there and the champion leader, director of the outdoor adventure and recreation program. So here we go again. How did that job come to your table?
Great question. So Gus Lazier called one day and said, would you have an interest in CASA? I said, well, of course I would, but I'm not a CTRS. I have a master's in kines. And he said, okay. And I didn't hear from him. And I said, oh, well, that's that. And he called back about 2 weeks later and he says, come interview, just talk. they can work around not being a CTRS. And I interviewed with a former CEO and president who is just absolutely an incredible man, Dr. Laverso. You've met him, and you talk about charismatic, man on fire, gonna make everything happen. And now, I loved him from the second I started talking with him. I like people who believe in what they do. And my direct supervisor, exactly the same thing. Stephanie Kaplan is somebody who just makes it happen, stands back and says, watch this, that, and the other, and move forward. And I think that's one of the things that's most exciting about CASA is there isn't a single person here, whether they be therapist or somebody working within the office, that doesn't say, how can I help? What can I do? I believe in your program. I've seen what Outdoor Adventure has done for people, and people just literally stop in their tracks to make it happen. And you know, the history of CASA better than I do, but I can tell you, walking through these halls, I see pictures of that young guy, David Kiley, really young guy.
Oh,
And
gee.
there are proud pictures on the walls. And I didn't even see it for about a month and a half. I was walking down one of the halls and saw a picture of wheelchair hockey, and CASA was playing Rancho. And I was like, I know I am so lucky to be here, but that puts the exclamation point on it. This is full circle. This is where I belong. This is how we continue to affect change. And I feel like with your help and CASA's help and everybody around the nation who says this is another program that really matters. We're having chairs built, we're getting hand cycles, we're doing everything we can to say CASA is back. And CASA has always been here for Outdoor Adventure, had a little down just like everybody did during COVID, but coming back with a roar. All kinds of fun events coming up and activities. So it's exciting.
Yeah, well, roar all you want, Lioness, because that's who you are, and so is Casa. So, yeah, a little bit of history, in the 80s, the wheelchair sports program, outdoor adventure program, I really truly believe put Casa on the map, both nationally and internationally. Today, Casa doesn't need anyone or anything to put them on the map because they pretty much are the map. But I just happen to have, the Condors being the flagship, and we're going to be talking basketball here in a minute. 8 national championships on this old school jacket. So those of you on YouTube get to see it. Others just get to hear about it. But the jacket may be out of style, but these 8 national championships listed on the breast of the jacket with the Condor logo on the back will never go out of style. So I just wanted to get that part out. But look, it's real easy to and you alluded to it just a minute ago that I may want to say, hey, CASA is back, but that statement needs qualification. CASA continued to rise as an elite healthcare provider under the leadership of Dr. Laverso, as we know, and and whether there was a little absence, but man, the team and that Dr. Laverso footprint, wheel print, is really second to none. So Casa never did leave, but I think it can only be enhanced by this new direction of extension of service. And why don't you speak to that a little bit? And let's talk about those elite healthcare services that Casa sets camp up in.
Absolutely. And, when you really think about CASA, way back, CASA was this little hospital on the hill. Okay. And you know that better than I. Yes. And so, when you stand back and look at the facility as it is today, it is phenomenal. It is gorgeous. It is architecturally stunning. This is a space of tranquility to heal. And so you set the scene with this amazing facility, but you've got unbelievable opportunity to heal. There's a med surge wing, there's intensive care, there's all kinds of services for people with physical disability, brain injury, traumatic brain injury, and a host of clinics that doctors provide. And so when you really look at CASA, it's this continuum of service. And one of the things that I'm really excited to dabble into as well is there's a research center as well at CASA. And so we've already talked a whole lot about how do we navigate looking at the ultimate sense of rehab, if you will, for spinal cord injury. One of those paths is, or one of those vehicles is sport. And so we've done a little bit of that. We've done a little bit of grant writing with our grant writers. And um, CASA is one of those places that has unlimited potential in my perspective. When you look at the big picture, where we are placed, we're between Rancho and Loma Linda, who also have sports programs. They're rejuvenating at this point in time. So proximity wise, barrier being one of the largest barriers for people with physical disabilities is transportation. So we're planted perfectly in the Inland Empire to be able to pull and really pull people in. And when you start really looking at the big picture on that, we certainly plan to serve CASA patients and want to work with our inpatients, but we also want to serve the community and inversely pull people into our hospital through sport and have them become CASA patients going forward. And so serving that vehicle. And honestly, what's so exciting, I've gotten to meet our new CEO and president, Kelly Linden, and she is on fire, just like Dr. Laverso was. She asked questions, very good questions, and hold you to it, just like he does. I think it's a CEO president thing, right? Just the coolest opportunity with CASA, and just knowing that we have this continuum of services, all the way to something known as TLC, which is the part that Outdoor Adventure works out of. TLC is Transitional Living Center, and it literally is a set of buildings that has this continuum of, hey, you start out right here, you're living here, and then you transition into an apartment, and then you transition potentially into a house on our campus, and then you transition out to the community. And there are all kinds of outings, working with therapists on co-treats to try and get people out and into the community so we're ready when we're discharged. Because sadly, or good, I'm not sure how you feel, inpatient time is nowhere near 4 months at this point. Some people are just barely figuring out they had a spinal cord injury, you know,
Yeah.
by the time they're discharged.
No,
So,
amen to that. It's a new world, it's a new world in terms of what you've got to pick up on the fly with injury, and you use the word fire to describe a couple of individuals already, but, fire attracts fire, or it spreads. And you're the fire now that I'm talking to. And you mentioned, I want to just tell those that when Lisa said the little house on the hill, that's what Casa Colina means in Spanish, for those listeners that are wondering. And you talked, I was going to ask you the question about your vision, but you just pretty much told me about it. Is there anything else that you would add about your vision as you see it in your role?
Probably the only thing I would add is, I'm having so much fun building, that I have a vision, I have a course, but honestly, it's never been about me. I think so much of this is going to go like this based on who comes, right? I'm
Yeah.
learning to surf. All right. That is not me. But the people who are joining the program are more interested in water sports for their outdoor adventure than many other things we're doing. So we're pivoting, and we're going to do exactly that as we go along. I plan to have a tennis, basketball, football, hockey team, kind of a pattern similar to something in my past, right? But you know what? it's largely contingent upon what does this area need? What do the folks who come in want? And so that's my vision. It's going to pivot. It's going to pivot, and I get it. And that's part of why it's fun. I get to grow and learn from it too.
Well, yeah, and that's a sign of a good leader to know what your constituents are truly in need of and want, and that you have the open ear to design from that. So we're really looking forward to you in this role, and there's such a connection. Casa will forever be part of my DNA. People in the sport probably get tired of hearing about what we did when we did it, but that's too bad because more is coming.
That's
More
right.
is coming. So, well, Lisa, now after you pick up the phone, you let me know, and you make my jaw drop, telling me that you have just taken over a position at Casa Colina. And I'm thinking to myself, that Dr. Laverso, man, he just does any kind of end arounds, whatever it takes. And, you were picking my brain as I wasn't surprised that you might after the call because it made sense. And so now, we continue these little discussions. And then I'll I don't know where it came from, but we started batting. I proposed the idea. I was like, okay, so how can my role as the chairman of the NWBA, National Wheelchair Basketball Hall of Fame, how can that help possibly CASA and help the Hall of Fame? So I'm happy to announce, and we've announced it through our social media platforms, that Casa Colina will be the presenting sponsor of the Hall of Fame and its induction ceremony. So let me ask you, how do you think this relationship and this opportunity for both sides will benefit Casa Colina's services for healthcare?
Yeah. So to quote a guy that just said something that I relate to completely, he said street cred. And I mean that with all due respect for Casa. There is street cred, right? I align with you, and it's like, who wouldn't align with a Paralympian who's the Hall of Fame chairman? Who wouldn't desire to do that with a new sports program? It is the incredible opportunity for us, and we know it. We're back with an exclamation point and then some. And so that big picture really, to us, shines a light and gives us a platform from which to say, hey, to you world of athletes, know that we're here and know that we're going to do everything we can to build, if you will, what the people want. And again, I don't know exactly what that is. I'm willing to learn and grow and figure it out. I know what I want it to be. So, and I believe strongly there'll be an adult basketball team, and I'm working on a youth basketball team in concept as well, because I think that's where it's at as well. So.
Yeah, well, and I'm happy to hear about the potential emphasis of basketball, but it's bigger than that. A comprehensive sport or recreation outdoor adventure program. I think it does our world a great service to know that Casa Colina is and has been a major player, but that with you there now, things are going to get even better. And so you will be in Wichita. Dang, man, it's like, it's scary close right now, but so we plan to have you in and on the stage. Casa's going to be, and their brand's going to be well represented, and that's just a moment. That's a tremendous moment of pride for me. and I never saw it coming. So it's even more impactful. So Wichita is going to be year 2 for me in terms of being in the chair position. And we're going to put on the theater of a kind that is deserving for people to be honored as the best of the best in their sport and for what they did. And usually every inductee has a service side to them, and or service itself brings people to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we have 3 competitors and 1 contributor. And Lisa, you're gonna just get all crazy right now, but your wheel print, your footprint of what you've done over decades is deserving for consideration itself.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, well,
especially compared to the people that are inducted this year. I mean, Janie Chaluti and all your folks.
Well, yeah, but you're not done. You're not done, and nor is Jane. Jane Chaluti is in the contributor category and so deserving, and over the long haul, which you're in the long haul and in that category of service. But Josh Turek, Willie Hernandez, with who very well, Will Waller, inductees for 2023, and we're gonna blow it out. And I can't wait for you to see it and feel it.
I can't wait myself. Thrilled, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, we're getting toward the end of our time here, and it's been so easy to just run down this road with you or roll down it, whatever. And the Hall of Fame ceremony will take place on April 1st at the Holiday Inn in Wichita, Kansas. But you don't have to be there to enjoy the ceremony and to see and feel it. It will be live streamed, and you will be able to access that on the NWBA Hall of Fame Facebook page, and more info and detail on that will be posted on social media. So Lisa, any parting words from your side?
You said I have been given an unbelievable opportunity at Casa, and I couldn't agree with you more. I wake up every morning feeling so grateful and so desire to work with everybody here who is an amazing team at Casa to develop something that makes everybody so excited and proud. They are worthy of it, and everybody to come is worthy of a great opportunity to play sport, to have fun outside, and to use sport as a vehicle like anybody else. So I am thrilled to be part of that, to say the very least. Casa is full circle on every level, and Casa is this amazing place that I am unbelievably excited to have landed.
Yeah, I feel your now. It's really good, and it's really good for me. So look, everyone, I want to thank you for listening to this dear friend and unbelievable servant and woman. You can hear the Wheel Print podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And so on behalf of the Wheel Print podcast, my words to you are do the next right thing and be a good human being. Peace. Bye, Lise. I hope you enjoyed today's show on the Wheel Print podcast. I invite you to check out our other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our website at DaveKileyDK3.com. Special thanks to Dromos Agency for producing this podcast, our lead sponsor, APM Medical, for their support, and Performax Wheelchairs.
a sweet ride.